In this movie, I want to show you how to use a line work brush, an artistic brush, as it's properly called in Illustrator, within Illustrator. So, as with all brushes, whether you're dealing with a scatter brush or a pattern brush, or in this case, artist brush or a line work brush is what we're calling them, they all work by being applied to vector paths. So if I go to keyline view here, all this is just simple vector, black vector paths. So we have this, and all these other lines. So this is very simple art. Anybody could create this. This doesn't take a whole lot of skill to pull it off. The nice thing about a custom line work brush is that it can become a very authentic looking piece of art. And that's what we're going to do here. We're simply going to select this. Now, I could go over here and grab the paintbrush palette and select any one of these brushes. We'll select 13, and I could draw it out like this to create a very authentic kind of hand-rendered looking path. If I increase the point size, once again, if you increase the point size, it increases the brush size. You reduce the point size of the path, it reduces the brush size. So you can use a paintbrush to pull off like this. You could even draw this way if you wanted to kind of work out some, here's a deranged looking happy face. If you wanted to work that way, you could, if you choose doing that. Now, if you have a Cintiq, this could be a very nice way of working, but it's up to you. In this case, I'm using a mouse, and we're, instead of drawing out our path, we're actually going to simply select our vector strokes, and we're going to apply to them a given brush. So on this one, we'll do 4, and I want to increase that to 2. I think that, yeah, that looks pretty good. And then on this one, we'll select it, and we'll try, I don't like that. Let's try 3. I think that might work, but bump up the size just a little. That looks good. We'll select this one, and I think, let's see, we'll do 3 again. And adjust the size. That looks good. We'll take this one, and we'll try this a little fatter. That looks good. Now we'll move to the center one, and this one needs to be fatter. That looks really good. And actually, I like 3s. I'm going to use that again, but make this one bigger. And we want to change it up. We don't want to use the same path for everything. Then it kind of fails to deceive the eye. The eye will pick up on something that's super replicated. So we want to give it a feeling of randomness. I think that looks, I might go a little thinner on this one. Let's try. That looks better. Select this, and I think this needs to be thicker. That looks good. We haven't used 2, so let's try using a different one, but it needs to be, that looks good. And notice on these ones, I've broken them up into 2 different ones, because if something comes to an absolute corner and it's a brush, it won't wrap around that corner unless you've rounded it. So like on this one, if I zoom in on this, you can see I put a little round in there, so it kind of bends around that. If it comes too sharp, like a 90-degree angle, the brush won't wrap nice, and it'll look it'll look bad basically. So keep that in mind as you build the artwork that you're going to apply brushes to. It will affect the way the brush looks on there. And the more authentic, in my opinion, the better. So we'll go ahead and finish with these last two here. I think that should be bigger. Maybe not that big. Maybe a little bigger than that. There is no set one way to apply this. You wouldn't want all of these to be the exact same weight, because if you think about it, if you're actually inking stuff out and it's kind of loose, it's never all the same weight. So that kind of randomness is a good thing. So you're trying to achieve that. So don't be afraid to kind of tweak with it until it looks right. And that looks pretty good. So you can see how it's gone from just a really no character, no personality type vector paths to looking kind of cool. And if I zoom in on this, because these strokes were created by real world painting and are extremely detailed in terms of how tight they've been scanned and image traced, it gives a very nice, authentic, painted look when it's all said and done. And so you can use this to create some really nice vector artwork. This is the exact same artwork, but it's been applied in green, and then I just did a little slight shift, drop shadow on a colored background. So lots of different things you can use this for. So experiment with them, and you're going to find a lot of ways you can use these in your own projects.